I was in the hospital recently. I was playing football with my friends at the local high school field. There's this hole in the fence that leads to a slope covered with rocks. One of my friends pushed me away and I fell through the hole. I tumbled a little, but twisted my ankle. They took me to the hospital and I had to stay for a few nights. It was fun though. I was just cooped up in my room all day, except when they put me in a cast. But at night, it was very strange. It was lights out at around 10 o'clock, but I couldn't sleep. A few seconds after the lights were turned off, I heard loud shuffling and a little bit of groaning from the room above mine. I didn't really know what to expect from staying overnight at a hospital, so I thought it was normal. The shuffling went on for a long time. For some reason, there was something unsettling about the shuffling. I think it was that it broke the silence of the night, or that every hour it passed it got louder and more rapid, or that there were slow groans to accompany it. When the shuffling stopped, I looked at the clock. 4:54 a.m. Shit, I thought. I slept for 4 hours a little bit afterwards. That day I rang for my nurse. "Hello, Mr. Locke," she said. "What did you call me for?" "There was a person shuffling around in the room above me, Nurse Braxton," I said. "It kept me up all night, and they're also groaning from the same person. Can you go check him out or something?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Locke. If he's on the 6th floor, I can't talk to him. I can ask a nurse from that floor to talk to him. Would you like that?" Yeah, sure." "Okay then, have a nice day." "You too." That day I just sat in my bed with my leg propped up in a cast, watching the latest rerun of Family Guy. Nurse Braxton brought me my lunch. She told me she asked Nurse Brown, one of the nurses on the 6th floor. That night, Nurse Braxton gave me dinner. "Mr. Locke, there's nobody on the 6th floor directly above your room," she said. "You were probably dreaming." Then she left before I could respond. That night it was raining. I heard the shuffling and groaning, so I decided to focus on the rain outside. A few minutes later, the shuffling stopped. I was grateful. I kept staring out the window. I then saw a suspicious-looking man walking out of the hospital. He didn't look like he hurt someone. He looked like a patient. He was wearing patient scrubs, didn't have any hair, and looked like he was in his 70s. He stopped at a nearby curb and looked up into my window. When he looked at me, I nearly jumped out of my bed. He had a leathery face with no teeth, and a stream of blood running from his mouth. He had no eyes either. They looked like lifeless black orbs. I tried getting Nurse Braxton, but the remote was dead. A smile formed around his face as a pool of blood formed at his feet. He pointed at me and the vision started. At first I saw the old man's face up close as he had his mouth wide open, hissing. I heard more shuffling that kept getting louder with every moving foot. I kept seeing the perspective of a mysterious person running to my room and trying to open the door. Through the hissing, I heard a raspy voice say, "You shouldn't have stopped me." I heard the door swing open behind me. I thought it was Nurse Braxton, so I opened my mouth, just to have it clasped by a clammy, flaky hand. I thought I was going to die. The old man on the curb closed his mouth and grinned. The vision stopped and there was nobody else in the room. I looked outside. He was gone. I put my head on my pillow and cried myself to sleep. The next morning I woke up to throw up. I didn't ring for Nurse Braxton, but she ran in anyway. "How did you get in here?" I asked. "Some patients complained about you thrashing around and screaming last night at around midnight," she said as she took off the sheets that were stained with piles of green vomit. "Were you alright, Mr. Locke?" I told her about the visions. She told me they were just dreams. Then she told me that my friend Nick was here to pick me up. I got my crutches and went to the elevator with Nurse Braxton. I kept thinking about my visions and if they were dreams or not. When I was in Nick's car, I rubbed my eyes and my arm brushed up against something on my chin. I picked it off and instantly recognized it. It was a piece of dead skin. Could this be from the old man? I thought to myself. That night I heard shuffling on the front lawn. I hopped to the window to see the old man, still in his scrubs, shuffle across the grass. He looked up at me and grinned. I hopped back into bed and fell asleep. I woke up at around 1 a.m. to see a dark shadow sitting at the foot of my bed. I shined my flashlight at it. The light went out as soon as it came on, and I briefly saw the grinning, blood-drooling face of the old man. He crawled across the bed, looked into my eyes, took the flashlight and hit me across the head with it several times. He cackled, leaned into my face, scratched out my eyes, and ran off. I smelled smoke as I heard the man shuffle off into the darkness. The flames stroked my skin. I screamed for help, but smoke and fire drowned my every word. As I died, I heard the man laugh once more. "This is why people leave me alone." I screamed. Fire burned me. Smoke ran into my lungs, but the only thing I could hear was the shuffling.